Well, good afternoon, everybody, and happy Wednesday. Happy Christmas holiday season. Happy Hanukkah, and happy holidays to everybody. Welcome to our last Windchill webinar for the year. And today, what we're going to do is we're going to look at managing multiple CAD systems in a Windchill environment. And also, we're going to take a look at, as Zach Carson has on his presentation that's showing right now. We're going to look a little bit of bomb structure and reporting in regards to Windchill as well. So my name is Rob Romanowski. I'm the Director of Sales Operations with 3HTI, and we're glad to have you on today. And also leading this presentation and the demo of Windchill is Zach Carson, who is a solutions consultant and an applications engineer with PTC's Virtual Center of Excellence. So if you have any questions, please put those in the chat box or the Q&A box, and we'll answer them as we go along. And we hope you can find some value in what we're showing you today. So Zach, it is all yours, my friend.
All right, thanks, Rob. As Rob said, today we're going to go through multi-CAD data management in Windchill. Now, the reason that I want to talk about bill of materials management in this topic, or in conjunction with this topic, is because the various types of data, in particular with what we're talking about today, design data, it's going to be managed in the context of your bill of materials in Windchill or your part structure. So understanding how the part structure works in that capacity is critical in understanding how Windchill is capable of managing data from all these different sources. So we're going to start going through some bill of materials, or the BOM structure here and the reporting capabilities that offers. And then we'll take a look at what it would actually look like if you were a user of one of these different types of one of these different CAD softwares, and how you would interact with Windchill from that standpoint. So we're going to start here just by covering some challenges that we see people in the industry commonly facing. We talk to a lot of people. A lot of us tell us, daily, hey, I'm dealing with this problem, that problem. They're all pretty similar, and Windchill addresses them all in a very good and similar way, really. So nowadays, you guys, if you're on the call, you know this, products are just really complex, more complex than they've ever been in the past. Each assembly in your structure has sub-assemblies or little parts and components within it that you need to keep track of. They could be mechanical, they could be electrical, they could be software a lot of times, and it's all contained within one assembly. And companies struggle to manage all of that data pertaining to all of these complex assemblies and components. When you have all of the different components, sometimes even identical components on different assemblies, a lot of people really have a hard time trying to organize the information because it's coming from so many different places and describing or being used on so many of your different products and projects. So because of that, what you have to do is collaborate more. You need the mechanical experts to work with the electrical experts, to work with the programmers and the developers, and have the managers involved, and have a place where you can collaborate in a more cross-functional manner and then see all of the information. And that place that you're going to do it is Windchill. What we provide to you is bill of materials management capabilities that address the disparity in the systems that our customers are using. So starting with here, complete multi-dimensional bill of materials. You can see in the picture, we have a multi-dimensional BOM that's going to take all of your different engineering data and roll them into a single location. So it makes it, I would say, more of a bill of information than your prototypical bill of materials. We have those too, but we want you to have a one-stop shop where you can come in here and see all of the information that's actually describing this product that you're working on. Within that bill of materials, and this is, I think, the title of the webinar today, and you'll get to see this, you're going to have not just different documents and maybe calculations or simulation results and analysis. You're going to have a lot of data coming from different CAD systems. We talk to people all the time who maybe they use Creo for the parts they design, but maybe they work with a supplier who actually designs in SolidWorks, and then they work with maybe a another vendor who has CATIA data. And you want a place where you can bring it all together so you have all of the information describing your product. But how do you actually manage all of those different things? Well, Windchill is capable of doing so, and it utilizes what we call our work group manager, which you'll see here in the demonstration, to integrate those tools directly with Windchill. And that way, Windchill can work hand in hand with those tools. It's not just uh, pulling data from, SolidWorks, let's say. It's actually working both ways. It has a two-way relationship between those tools. It's a pretty good integration. It actually allows the users of those tools to feel more at home, I would say, and kind of stay in the tool that they're comfortable with, and only kind of go into Windchill as much as they need to. What this is giving you is full data traceability. So now, with all of the different data from all of your different systems, it's all version controlled, revision controlled. It all has life cycle states. There's change management and workflows integrated in there as well. You'll have a full history of everything. And then you also then have the ability to compare the differences between versions or different objects, that might be using slightly different data from the different systems. Even maybe within the same product, but just two slightly different versions or configurations. Right. What we're going to do now, with that being said, is jump into a demonstration where you're going to actually walk through, kind of what BOM management in Windchill looks like, and especially from a perspective of managing different types of CAD. So here, we're jumping into Windchill. You're going to be logged in as Pat, the product manager. And for this demo today, I want to look at our zero-turn mower product. And this product has a structure that is comprised of data from all kinds of different systems. We have lots of Creo data in here. There's SolidWorks data in here, CATIA, I think some NX, AutoCAD. And the reason that this is important is because inside of Windchill, we want this structure to be our bill of information. We want it to be the single location where we can go to and see all of our, not just Windchill objects, in the structure like we're looking at here, those are WT parts, but actually see the related information. So dive into any one of those parts and see the individual files. And those files are really, where we're getting into the data from the different systems. So if I go ahead on the structure and start to expand this thing out, you can start to see this, and I'll actually go to, I know there's a specific subassembly here that has some different data, seat isolator. So let's open that up. And within this, a couple different options. I have 3 different versions of the seat isolator I can have, A, B, and C, but really what we care about is the CAD documents here. So I'll just show all the information, and what you'll see here is inside of each one of these buckets, or these WT parts, the gray gear is known as a WT part. It basically acts like a bucket. It's a logical container of information in Windchill. In each one of these, I can have any and every type of file that describes whatever this object is. So if you look at let's just take where my mouse is, the seat isolator at the top level. It's an assembly, but in that assembly, I don't just have my CAD. I have my parts manual. That's a document. Maybe it's something that I wrote up in Microsoft Word. And then I have my MathCAD load calculations as well. And instead of the Creo assembly there, it could just as well be an assembly from another system. You can see here below that, a few of these we have CAD drawings on as well. So these logical containers, or WT parts, they're organizing your structure in a logical way and bringing all of the information that describes any of these assemblies and sub-assemblies into one place. All right. Now, what I can do from here, excuse me, is we use a tool in Windchill, or with Windchill, called Creo View. And this tool is really good for collaboration. It's also very good for anyone in here who maybe needs to open up a few things and just take a look at them. But you don't want to have to pay for, let's say, a license of the CAD tool, because you're not really in the CAD tool that often. You're not making changes. You just want to view it. So right from the structure, what I can do is actually grab a couple of these different items, copy them to my clipboard, and then from my clipboard, I can open them in Creo View. So now what we have, excuse me, is this multi-view of the different objects I have selected from the part structure, and now they're being displayed in Creo View. So what you actually could even do here, and you could do this in Windchill as well, is maybe grab two versions of a similar part. One was modeled in from one supplier using CATIA, another one was modeled from a different supplier in Creo, and do a comparison in those from a structural perspective in Windchill, and then from a visual perspective here in Creo View. You could have a side-by-side visual to see what the differences are, if any. And you can also from there add some comments, markups. Maybe you know, a lot of people use it to document problems. So whenever they have an issue that comes up, go to Creo View, document the problem, add a comment to that visualization we were just looking at, and then save it to Windchill as a problem, or attach it to a problem report. And then you have a workflow in place that will go through making a change to address that problem. But everyone's looking at that Creo View visualization to understand what the problem is and where it started. Okay, what I can also do from here is now go into any one of these assemblies and maybe modify them a little bit. So if I want to come into my mainframe and just add a WT part for a sticker, then what you'll see here is it automatically checks this mainframe out. And now once it's checked out, okay, well, nobody else can make a change at the same time. The important part here is there's two elements to this. For that sticker, doesn't really matter what we added in as stickers, whatever, that's not important. What is important is that we reused it. A lot of this data that you're being provided, or that maybe you're designing it yourself, or especially it's more common, I would say, whenever you're working with different suppliers or vendors, they're sending you their information. It doesn't matter what system they use, as I keep saying. Once it's in Windchill, you want to reuse it. People all over the place that don't have Windchill or a similar system, what they're saying is, yeah, for every assembly or every product or product configuration, we're making duplicates. In Windchill, if they send you, let's say in this case, we're looking at a lawnmower, but if they send you, a model of their wheels, because you're not manufacturing the wheels, you're buying the wheels and just assembling them onto your lawnmower, reuse those wheels. I don't want to have to give myself more work than I need to. So they give you the object. I have a WT part now with that CAD file they provided me in it, and I'm just going to reuse it across multiple assemblies. So it could be something like a sticker. Maybe you buy it from some vendor stickers, then they print your label on it or something, or it could be another manufactured part, let's say. But I'm just reusing it. I'm saving all of the duplications. So then there's more consistency and traceability in the system. And then also that check-in and check-out system is going to make sure that nobody's overwriting each other's work. So let's just go back to the design view here. And from this, what we can do is now not just stop with the BOM management from the part structure perspective, but we can generate reports. And these are out of the box with Windchill. So if I wanted to maybe create a report in a document fashion that includes all of my WT parts, or maybe you want to format this to be more of like a traditional, bill of material layout, actually like you kind of see in the uses tab, you could do something like that. Or maybe you want to export it to make some edits in Microsoft Excel. So you would use like a CSV or an XLS format, just some different things that you can do there. All right. Now, what I want to show you here is actually going to be working on a different product. So I want to show you now that you kind of got to see how the part structure works, the bill of materials, what it's like to actually manage working or excuse me, work with Windchill as a user of a non-native PTC system. So for this demo, or this portion of the demo, we'll actually work with SolidWorks data, and it's going to be a slightly different assembly. Instead of that lawnmower, we're going to be working with part of a ski assembly we have. And you can see actually whenever I come into Windchill, I have some design data. If I look at the folders, I have data from all kinds of different systems in here. For this one, it'll be SolidWorks. So let's open this up. And there's a particular assembly I want to find here. It's called the steering column foot. And what we're going to do is make a change to this. So this object currently already exists in Windchill. You can see the visualization of it in the top left, but we want to make some tweaks, and I want to show you the interaction between Windchill and SolidWorks, since we preach all the time we're an exceptional multi-CAD environment. So this kind of puts pen to paper here. So here's my assembly, nothing crazy, but what I want to do is go ahead from here, and since I'm integrated with Windchill and SolidWorks, I want to open this up in SolidWorks. And just to give you some context, we'll kind of open this up in a more simple part instead of an assembly. And this is what we're going to be making a change to. Now, you see here as I'm going through things, the structures, it looks just like when we were looking at the lawnmower, different information in there, but multi-level, just like we saw before. What I'm going to do is now I can either open this in SolidWorks directly or in Creo View if I just want to view it. So if I were to maybe have a typical workflow that someone would use, maybe I open this up in Creo View, and I'm a manager. I'm not going to be the one making a change, but I want to say what the change that needs to happen involves. So I'll come in here and just throw a note on this. We're going to change this little pad, and that work is going to have to be done in SolidWorks. So whenever I save this, save it as an annotation set, and that's going to save to Windchill, and someone could attach it to a problem report. In that way, whoever the designer is that's going to be making this change in whatever their CAD tool of choice is, they would be able to reference this and know exactly what they need to change. I came from a manufacturing environment prior to joining PTC, so I saw this all the time. If you don't have a tool like that, a lot of times just emails are kind of the way that you're conveying what needs to change, and there's room for misinterpretation there. People get confused. The changes aren't always very clear. Then you go and hopefully this doesn't happen. But a lot of times you'll actually go and make the change and find out, what, this really isn't what they were looking for. So Creo View is going to really help in that regard. All right. Now that we know what change needs to happen, what I'm going to do is just from within SolidWorks, like I said, it's integrated directly with Windchill. So I can access all of my Windchill or all of my SolidWorks models that are managed in Windchill. I can access them and open them right from inside of my SolidWorks browser. I'm just going to pull up that foot plate. There's my little Windchill tab at the top. So I can do my checkout, my check-in from here. If I have a couple different servers, I can flip between the different servers. And in the bottom right, my checkout succeeded. So now we're good to get to work. Now, nothing crazy here. Like I'm going to change the size of this little foot plate. Just a couple dimensions. Instead of being 0.84 wide, we'll go 3/4 of an inch. This radius, I'll change to 0.13. And then the height here, instead of 1.35, I'll go 1.25. So simple. This would be hard to see in the visualization in Windchill. So I'll also just change the color of this thing, make it a little easier for you to see the new and updated model. Make it blue. And now whenever we go into Windchill and you see that visualization, it'll be a lot easier to recognize. That's from the visual, high level model perspective. Now, the thing is with Windchill, it's not just managing the data at a high level. It's managing metadata too. And that's metadata from these various CAD systems. So if I come in here, these are SolidWorks specific properties that we're adding in, right? So I'm putting in a description. I can put in maybe a material is going to be a very common one. This is information that Windchill, once it's integrated, it actually recognizes and will manage that metadata inside of Windchill as well and make it searchable. So if you were to go into Windchill and this was a part that was made out of ABS plastic. You would actually be able to, in the Windchill search bar, type in ABS, and you actually get results for it. Okay. Now that we've made the change, let's just go ahead and check this thing in. And Windchill will launch this little GUI that pops up. And you can add a comment in. That's always a good practice. I'm just going to check it in for the demo here. And the check-in has succeeded. So as soon as we go back to that part, then what you'll see is the visualization should be updated. We should now be seeing a blue footplate. There we go. We didn't have to do anything extra. As soon as we checked it in, it was automatically updated. It was pushed, to the latest version, 1.5. It was 1.4 previously. And then if you look down at the object-specific metadata towards the bottom of your page, you can also see the description we just added in inside of SolidWorks. Footplate for steering column assembly. So once you're integrated with the workgroup manager between your different CAD systems and Windchill, like I said, it is a two-way street, and we're very good at managing data from these multiple systems. Now what we can do is take it up a level. So I want to go back to not just that footplate, but the actual assembly that it was used on. And I'm going to open that up. And this time, before we look at the 3D model, we're going to open up the drawing. The idea here is to not just pull data from the CAD system to Windchill. It's to push it as well if you need to. So what I can do here is inside of SolidWorks, I open up this drawing. I can also bring in Windchill specific metadata. Something that might make sense is on the drawing, I already have a chart here with the name, number, material, and quantity. So this is kind of my bill of materials. What I'm going to do is also insert lifecycle state. So you can see from here the design or the prototype, or maybe it's released. What you could also do, another good example of something you could bring in here, would be vendors. We work with vendors a lot. So in Windchill, you can actually manage the different suppliers using our supplier management capabilities. And you might have a column in here that says, for each one of these items, this is something that I bought from this supplier, and say who that supplier is. I got this from someone else, that from someone else. So just right in the context of your drawing and the rest of your parts on your BOM, you could also see who you bought the components from. All right. That's how you would make a basic change and kind of push information back and forth from a part level. Now, the last thing that I want to show you is from an assembly level. So this is your top level, right? I want to make a quick change here. All we're going to do is go into insert components. I'll create a new part. So this is actually a part that does not exist right now inside of Windchill. We're just going to make it for the first time in SolidWorks. So what I can do is, I'm no SolidWorks expert here, but we'll just throw a rod here, a connecting rod between these two surfaces. And I'll take it from this side up to the surface on the other side. All right. And let me just regenerate that. And now what you'll see is if I go to the part here, all right, well, there's my new part in my model tree. I have my new individual part here if I open it up. So what I can do now, since I created this new part, is also maybe throw a material on it. So we'll just say in this case, for my property name, I'll say it's material. And then we'll say TBD. I don't know what it's going to be yet, but you'll be able to see that in Windchill. All right, so at this point, we made our new part. What I'm going to do is save it. So I never checked out the part when I made the change. So it's going to say, hey, goofball, you didn't check it out. Let's check it back, or let's check it out. And then, push it back in, which will automatically just rev it really quick here. And then we can also go back to our drawing, check that in. And we'll just grab them all at once here and check them all in simultaneously. Throw a comment on there. And the idea is once we check these into Windchill, the new part we created will now be managed in Windchill. It'll have a WT part that Windchill automatically made for it. And it put the SolidWorks file inside of that WT part. I didn't have to do that as separate steps. It just did it automatically. It'll bring the metadata through. So we'll have that. And then not just will the individual part be created, but now if I go to the assembly, you'll be able to see that that assembly has also updated with the newest information and even the part that we just created. And you'll be able to see it here at the top level from this visualization. So you can already see the connecting rod there has been added in, and my blue steering column foot plate has been added as well. And this whole assembly was made in SolidWorks. You can see it in the structure. Here's my connecting rod, right? I can click on it in the visualization. It's also the bottom part there on my structure. So if I were to open this up, you'll see it has its own life cycle state already. Right beside my mouse, there's my object specific metadata that's been brought in, my material that is to be determined. Okay, so the idea here is Windchill allows users to manage all of the information from these different CAD systems. The reality of the world is nobody's using one thing across the board. And if you are, by chance, the people you work with probably aren't. So we really put a focus into doing a good job managing data from all of these different sources, bringing it all into Windchill, having a smart relationship between Windchill and those tools that you or your partners in your supply chain are using. And then within Windchill, giving you the single source of truth where you can go, you can see how all of the information ties together, and then fully build out your product context, kind of regardless of where the actual data is coming from. So that's what I had planned to go through for this demonstration of multi-CAD data management, and it's all going to be done in the context of your bill of materials.
Good stuff, Zach. I think what it is, it's about the data. And managing CAD data is tricky, and Windchill does a tremendous job with it, especially when you have to manage multiple different multiple CAD systems at once, and being able to share that data across the enterprise. It's I mean, we're helping our customers do it, and I think we kind of make it look easy sometimes because we're very proficient at linking these data points for our customers. But it's not as simple to get it set up. I mean, we're experienced at doing it. We have measurable success with each client. But I'm sitting here watching this and I'm thinking two things. One, I'm thinking, did Zach just call himself a goofball? That was one. And the other is just the point of connecting all this data across the enterprise. Data is like, I think, the biggest issue with companies today, that flow of data. And that's where Windchill comes in to be able to help not only manage that data, but help it flow to the right people that need to see it when they need to make decisions, so you can reduce your time to market, increase your product quality, increase revenues, and all that good stuff. So Zach, great job. Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Sure thing, Rob.
So next Thursday, we're going to have a webinar on design exploration extension, which is a base functionality within Creo. And I think there's some great value in that extension, and there's a lot of people that don't know that it's there. So when I send out the recording to this webinar to you guys, I'll include a link to register. And if you feel that there's somebody in your department or your company that would like to, that it might benefit, please pass it along. If you have any questions or need any additional information, or if you want to see more of a custom demo on Windchill, Creo, or any PTC solutions, you can reach us at info@3hti.com, or you can respond to the invitations that are sent out for this webinar. Zach, thank you again. And also to our audience, thank you for being on today. And once again, enjoy the holiday season and have a great day. Take care.